Four people are sitting around the table.
See, in this world, there's two kinds of people, my friend.
Suddenly, a bomb goes off.
Those with loaded guns.
Now take the same scene and tell the audience there is a bomb under that table.
No, you dig.
So the whole emotion of the audience is totally different.
You dig.
This week, the movie pick was all yours.
I picked Borat. I picked this movie because Christian had never seen it. The Sacha Baron Cohen movie. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, Sacha Baron Cohen.
Yeah. So that's what I picked. I watched it today. Again, I rewatched it again today, and I quite enjoyed it. Of course.
So this was your second time watching it?
I've seen it more than twice.
What is your rating of this movie?
This gets a 7. I mean, it's nothing special, but it's actually funny, and it's very unique.
Yes.
What do you rate it?
I'm giving this a 9.9 out of 10.
Oh, you liked it?
I loved this movie. It was fucking hilarious.
It's like every second that something's going on, it's like some sort of fucking joke.
So when we watched Die Hard, I had trouble taking notes because I was enjoying the movie so much, and I fell into the same problem watching this movie. I didn't want to take any notes at all because I was like screaming, laughing at my TV. So I didn't write a lot of notes. I wrote very minimal notes. But yeah, this movie is hilarious. I really want to watch it again.
Have you seen not this one? Have you seen Bruno?
Never like fully. I think
between the two, because like similar style of comedy between the two and similar idea between the two. I think this one is better. I think Borat is better than
I seen one part of Bruno when I was like 7 or something, and I was like, "Oh my god, what is this? I don't want to watch this."
That checks out. Yep.
Yeah.
7-year-olds should not watch Bruno or this movie.
It's really, really funny. The notes I wrote aren't very detailed. They're very broad. But
did you watch this live? Because I know you like to stream your watches.
No, I did not live stream this
that
one.
That would have been good.
But I thought about it, but I didn't. Because there's a lot of there's not a ton of nudity, but there's nudity in that, and I'm glad I didn't live stream it because I didn't want to break any community guidelines or anything. So,
I can kind of start.
Yeah, please.
So this movie is about Borat. He's the main character, and he's a news host from Kazakhstan. It starts with him showing his village. He lives in a very crappy village, and this comes up later, but just note that he talks about the countries that surround Kazakhstan, and he notes that he hates Uzbekistan. By the way, I don't know. Oh, I think we talked about it. Kazakhstan, real place.
Yeah, I thought it was completely made up.
Tajikistan, and there's one other place that's right. I forget. Another Stan. All those also real countries, and that's actually where they are on the map.
Okay.
I don't know if they actually filmed in Kazakhstan for like the village?
I don't know. I mean, they're very clearly in a third world country, but I don't know. That could have been like, you know what? It might have been because
I'm gonna look
I
it
think
up.
they're all speaking the language, and it would be hard to like fake that because they could have filmed it in like I don't know, Nicaragua or something like that, but they would all speak Spanish and not that. I think it's like a Russian type of language.
So when they filmed Borat's home village, they filmed it in a Romanian village. So Romania, not Kazakhstan.
How close is Romania to Kazakhstan?
It's in Europe, but it's not that close.
Oh, that takes off some
I
points
think
for authenticity. What the
Kazakhstan
fuck?
is technically considered part of Asia.
Asia.
Yeah, like super West Asia.
There were a lot of moments in this movie that have been memeified, like
Yeah.
when he's like introducing his house, like this is my neighbor. He's pain in my assholes, like that. I know that from the memes, and there are other moments during the movie where I was like, oh, I've seen this because of the memes. So
Yeah, something I didn't write down, but I thought was funny, is like like in this first scene, he's introducing different people in his village, and he gets to a part where he's like, "Yeah, this is what's his name? He's the village rapist, right?"
yeah,
And then do you remember later in the movie how like someone asked who? Oh, it was the girl. It was God, what's her name? He thought it was CJ, but what's her actual name?
the actress that he falls in love with,
Yeah,
Pamela Anderson.
Pamela Anderson. Pamela Anderson asks who he is, and then he's like explaining who he is and like who his mom and his dad is. And
Yeah,
did
he
you
kept saying like the rapist.
yeah, so that
Yeah.
means his dad was the rapist, and like his uncle's also the rapist. Like, if you didn't pick up on that,
Give me 1 second. I'm gonna have to take this call. Sorry.
yeah,
A big band.
yeah,
Where was I? Yeah, he was saying that his dad is the rapist. That means he's
yeah.
the child of rape.
I'd have to listen to a lot of that part over again. But yeah, like there's little things that tie in throughout the movie. So he introduces a bunch of people. He introduces his neighbor, which he hates. He says everyone hates his neighbor. He introduces his sister, who he kisses on the mouth, and then says that she's the number 4 prostitute in all of Kazakhstan. He
Yeah,
introduces his wife.
I didn't
then
write down any of these details at all.
He shows off his house, and he has a cow in his house.
Yeah.
Dude, and then he shows off the one dude from the village as well who doesn't have an arm, but receives an arm at the end of the movie.
I didn't pick up on that, not one bit at all. I don't remember a one-armed guy.
There's a one-armed guy, and then right before he leaves the village, the one-armed guy's like, he tells the one-armed guy, "I'm gonna get you a new hand in America." And then when he comes back at the end of the movie,
yeah, the fucking
he has
the dildo thing.
Yeah.
The fisting dildo. God damn. I do remember seeing that at the end, but I didn't know what was happening. I don't normally like to watch movies with subtitles, but I had to turn them on for this movie. Also, when they're speaking their language, not English, the subtitles are translating what they're saying, which is very helpful. Because if you don't have the subtitles on, then they're just fucking screaming gibberish. So
then they have here. Let me look something up again.
So the company Borat works for, this like TV program thing, they're gonna send Borat to the United States to learn the culture of America, so that he can bring back some culture to Kazakhstan, and that's what gets the whole ball rolling with this movie. So his task is to go make a documentary in America.
It's also very important to note for the movie, they show that in his village and in Kazakhstan, they do not like Jewish people. They even have a running of the bulls copycat called the running of the Jew.
Yeah.
So he gets sent to the USA with his producer to learn about the country, so that he can bring back this knowledge to improve his country.
And
that's the basis. That's the basis at the start of the movie for the trip.
And they go to New York, which is a hell of a starting place. Fucking New York City, Jesus, that's where they start.
He goes to New York. Do you want to say? Do you remember the first scene?
I don't remember the first scene. I was getting lost in this movie, honestly. I was only writing down like the key story moments. So all these details, I'm glad you took note of the details, because I did not.
He goes to New York. It's his first time riding an escalator, so he has trouble with the escalator. He then goes on a subway, and he introduces himself like a friendly man, and he tries to kiss people on the subway, because that's how he introduces himself, is he shakes a hand and then he kisses the people on the cheek. The people on that subway, I'm pretty sure, aren't actors.
No, this is like a prank style movie. Yeah.
Only parts of it are prank. There are like setup parts, but I think this was a real scene. And he obviously gets threatened. Then a chicken that stays with him for the majority of the movie.
Yeah.
In his luggage, by the way, escapes from his luggage
in the subway.
and the chicken's going all over the subway. They then arrive at the hotel, and he's riding up the elevator in the hotel, and he's like, "Oh, this is a fantastic room." And he's like, the person guiding him to his room is like, "No, this is not your room." He's like, "I will not accept a smaller room than this." And he's like, "No, this is the elevator. It takes you to your room." And he gets to the room, and then another meme-worthy moment is where he's like, "King of the castle, King of the castle."
Wow.
And then he proceeds to drink out of the toilet.
Yeah, that disgusted the shit out of me. Before he got to the hotel, he was walking the streets of New York and trying to kiss people on the street and like terrorizing the citizens of New York and running after these people trying to give him a kiss. That was a note that I put down.
He does chase people through the streets. He washes his clothes in the river, which is funny.
I think that was
probably
in Central
very
Park.
dirty. Yeah, that's no way that's clean.
Yeah.
And then his first like interview that he has set up to learn about the U.S. is he meets with the humor coach, and it just fails horribly. And he throughout the whole movie, he fails to grasp like what American humor is until like one of the very last scenes where he's like where he's talking to Pamela Anderson and he says something like "I hate you" or something, and then he says "not." Like that's what he learned in his humor coach class at the very beginning of the movie. Let's see. So after that interview, he watches TV and he is scrolling the TV channels until he finds an old episode of Baywatch.
And that's where he falls
That's
in
where
love
he
with Pamela
learns
Anderson.
about Pamela Anderson. And now instead of learning about American culture, he's secretly trying to get to California so that he can meet Pamela Anderson.
But there's a bit of a hiccup though, because his wife back in Kazakhstan told him, "If you cheat on me, I will snap your cock in half."
That's true.
And after he falls in love with Pamela Anderson on the TV, he gets a
No, not yet.
No?
Not
Am
yet.
I jumping ahead?
Yep. So before he even knows who this lady is, he goes to another interview, but he's in love with Pamela Anderson, and then he goes and interviews a feminist group, which also ends horribly because I would not say he's very appreciative towards feminists. And he learns that the character in the show is Pamela Anderson from Baywatch. He then continually insults the feminists and gets kicked out. Then he goes back, and he learned. Actually, you can just explain what happens with the transcript.
So the hotel received the transcript from Kazakhstan, and it says that your wife is dead. I forget the way they said it.
I'll explain it.
I think she was like eaten by a bear or something.
Yeah, so his wife was walking his retarded brother Bilo in the woods and was mauled to death by a bear. And he makes the hotel dude read it aloud to him.
I think so. Borat's staying at a real hotel, and
I think that was staged.
You think that was staged? I don't think so.
Just the way with the camera work, because they had cameras from both views. I don't know if they would have set that up, but
I mean, the guy's reaction seemed very
real.
Like legit. So I don't know if the transcript was fake and like they got like an employee to like give it to the manager, be like, yeah, you have to go take it to the studio, or if they actually got like an international transcript to be sent to a hotel.
I have no clue.
I hope it's legit because I love doing shit like that. Like when I send you like a package through Amazon and like add like a little fucking note, I love doing shit like that.
So he learns his wife dies. He very quickly celebrates, high fives to the dude that gives him the transcript, and he packs and he's going to start traveling to California to meet Pamela Anderson.
Yes.
The problem is they can't fly because they are scared of the Jews.
I did not.
That is the reasoning. That's why they drive. They do not fly because of the Jews. So he needs to learn how to drive. And
yes, he does.
He gets driving lessons, and this part I think is real.
Yeah.
And,
but with this whole movie, they had to. I wonder how many attempts they had to have with every scenario, because they had to. There had to be driving instructors that were not comfortable with being filmed in the car. So they probably went through so many people before they got to the driving instructor, and I think that for every scenario that they had, they went through so many people. that would agree to being filmed for this documentary.
The driving instructor is driven crazy by his lack of driving skills, which is definitely on purpose by Sacha Baron Cohen's acting. And then at the end, he asks the instructor if they're friends, and he says, "Yes, of course we're friends." And he's like, "So you're my boyfriend, right?" And being the early 2000s, before gay marriage was legalized or was really a popular thing, there's like a lot of gay jokes in this movie.
Yes.
And this dude is like, "No, absolutely not. I'm not your boyfriend." But he passes, so he goes to a car dealership to try and buy a car.
He wants to get a pussy magnet car.
And he's very confused about where the magnet is in the car.
And honestly, this car salesman dude is super chill. He he goes along with it a lot, and he's a good salesman.
If I was that person, I would have broke down laughing. I could not handle that.
Yeah.
He asks crazy questions like, how much damage will the car take if I hit gypsies? And how fast I need to be going to make sure I kill the gypsies when I hit them with my car?
And the dude's like, about this fast. Yeah, that'll do it.
And then he tells them the budget, and he ends up with like an old ice cream van.
Yeah, it's a piece of shit.
Yeah, like a
ice
really
cream
old
van.
ice cream van that they drive across the country. So they start their drive, and they go to Washington, D.C. first. While they're driving through Washington, D.C., they drive past the Uzbekistan embassy. And he flips them off. Dude, and this part was so fucked up. I think the reason this part was so short because it had to have ended like right after this happened. But he meets with the U.S. congressman, and then he brings some cheese.
Yes.
And he's like, "Oh, do you like the cheese I gave you?" And he's like, "Yeah, I love the cheese."
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, my wife made it." And he's like, "Oh, that's how lovely." And he's like, "Yeah, with her titty milk." And then like shortly after that, the
dude, his face just stonewalled like.
Dude, do you see like his throat muscles like tense up like?
This poor fucking man.
Yeah.
So I mean, he went through Washington D.C. kind of quickly.
Yeah, after that he attends a gay pride parade.
Yes.
And
I forgot about
he
that.
makes friends. Well, he isn't aware it's a gay pride parade, and he makes friends with people he thinks are just very friendly, and he thinks that these very friendly people he thinks it's normal that they want to wash him down in the shower.
Honestly, the gay people act a lot like how they act in Kazakhstan, and I think that's why Borat is like, "Oh, these are my people."
And then he after that he has another meeting with a senator who is African American, but he defines that as genuine chocolate face senator.
The fact that these people are able to get so many interviews with like high up people is fucking nuts.
Yeah.
It's crazy that so many people are agreeing to do these interviews.
So he talks about how he talks with the senator about how he like attended this parade yesterday, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you attended the gay pride parade," and then that's when Borat realizes that he was hanging out with a bunch of gay people.
Then he moves on to
He does
Texas.
Well, he moves through a lot of countries, or a lot of not countries, a lot of states first. He has, I don't know what state this is in. I forgot to talk about it or to note it down. But he has his news interview where he's on the news and he gets very excited.
Oh God, yeah.
And he screams into the lav mic.
That reminded me of you, 100%. Like, where's the microphone? Ah!
Yeah, just like that.
Like, dude, I was like, that's Evan. That's Evan right there, 100%.
He also offers his sister to the news anchor. And then he keeps distracting the weatherman, and the weatherman just can't keep it together.
I think the weatherman's reaction is like the most normal reaction. I feel like most people would just be like, find
Most
it
people would be
funny
like the
as
weatherman.
fuck. Yeah.
Then he goes to a rodeo, and he's there to sing the U.S. national anthem. But he goes to the rodeo, and then he gives like this little speech before he sings about. He talks about killing all the gay people, and he proceeds to support the war on terror, which is like actively happening during this time.
Yeah.
And like people are loving him, and then he starts to sing the national anthem, but instead of singing the national anthem, he sings like some weird song that he says is the Kazakhstan national anthem, which I don't believe.
It is. It is 100%.
You looked it up?
No, but in the world of this movie, when the credits are playing, they're playing the national anthem of Kazakhstan, and the words are exactly the same as what he's saying. The melody is different.
Yeah.
But no, the legit one is not going to be Kazakhstan is the greatest country in the world.
I just looked it up. It's not. But yeah, he sings a song basically saying Kazakhstan is the greatest country in the world. All the other countries suck, and then he gets booed. From the radio, which obviously checks out.
Dude, the moments during this movie when like they cut away right when something funny happens, those moments are sprinkled everywhere. Because right when like he gets booed off, for some fucking reason, like a
falls
bull,
off the horse,
or they just collapse for no fucking reason.
Yeah.
And then it just cuts away. That dude, I love that shit. That type of humor fucking kills me every time.
He keeps traveling. I still don't know what city he's in yet now. I don't know what city he went in between Washington, D.C. and Atlanta, but this is somewhere in between there and Atlanta. And he talks to like a lady that's having like a yard sale. And he's like,
yes.
Oh, this is a gypsy.
Yeah, let me look through your treasures.
And this is where he finds a Baywatch magazine. And he buys the Baywatch magazine. And that's important later.
Yes, that magazine is very important.
Then they keep traveling. They go to Atlanta, and they meet a group of African Americans hanging out on the street. And he actually has a conversation where he tries to learn about how they talk and what they do.
And they teach him.
They teach him. They
how
teach
to,
him the ways.
How to walk and talk like he's from the hood.
Yeah.
And it's late at night, and they need a place to rest. So he tries to go get a hotel after learning these new skills. Yes. And the management at the hotel, they don't like that at all.
He goes into the hotel sagging and speaking in words I'm not going to repeat.
That is a smart idea.
But yeah, he gets kicked out of the hotel. So it's since they don't have a place to stay, they go to a bed and breakfast.
Yes, they do.
You can explain what happens at the bed and breakfast.
So they go to a bed and breakfast, and it's this older couple, and
super nice.
They run this bed and breakfast. They're very friendly. It's like going back to grandma's house. You know, they welcome them with open arms, very friendly. Then Borat discovers that they're actually Jews. And this whole time, I can't remember the details, but this whole time that they're staying at this bed and breakfast, Borat thinks that these Jews are going to kill them.
Yeah.
And they're scared the whole time. And at one detail I do remember is that these cockroaches crawled under the door, and they're like, the Jews turn into the cockroaches. And
how much money do we throw at them? And he starts throwing dollar bills on the ground.
Yeah. Then they just escape. They run out of the house and leave. And this leads Borat to find some protection for himself. First, he tries to get a gun. Yep. To shoot down the Jews, but he can't get a gun because he's not American.
Did you see what gun they handed him?
What, a Desert Eagle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The conversation's like, oh, which gun will be best for defending myself against the Jews? And he's like, yeah, 9mm or 45. And then it just cuts to him being handed a Desert Eagle, which is in neither of those calibers.
And well, he's unsuccessful in getting a gun, so he gets a fucking grizzly bear for protection. Mm-hmm. And now he just has a bear, and he's crossing the country with a grizzly bear in a rundown ice cream van.
Did you see what happens to the bear later in the movie?
He got like taxidermied.
Yeah.
There was a moment before like right the end, and there's the partner dude, the manager guy. He opens up a fridge, and it's the bear's head in the fridge. And then like at the end of the movie, he's like fully taxidermied like a dummy. But yeah, he gets a bear for protection.
I think at like this point, they're in like the deep south. He goes to a high society class, and to learn some manners.
Yes.
There's a lot of jokes in this whole time. Some of them include thinking this guy's explaining that he's retired, and Borat interprets it as the man is retarded, and he's like, "Oh, that's so nice of you, allowing a retarded man to eat with us." He shows another guest naked photos of his son.
Yeah, I was not expecting that.
Which is graphic, and he insults the pastor's wife that's there.
Yes,
but
I thought that was fucking hilarious.
What gets him kicked out is they said he asks if it's okay if he invites guests to the dinner party, and they're like, "Yeah, it's normally fine to invite guests." So he invites a hooker.
Yeah,
which like I think this is not. I don't think he's kicked out because it's a hooker. I think they were kicked out because she was black. Like in the, I think.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah, because it's like high society in the deep south. Like as soon as he brought over a black woman, I think that was like, okay, it's time to go. I think that was like real racism that you witnessed. Anyways, they get kicked out.
and then, he tried to stay for dessert. They're like, fuck no.
Yeah. So then he and the prostitute go to a bar, and he takes her home, and they don't do anything, but they're friends, which is important.
There's another moment that happened. I think it might have been before that. I don't completely remember. But Borat was in what looked like to be a thrift store. And
that is later. That is in Texas.
Oh, that's later. Okay. Well, then
I'll let you explain it, though.
I was just going to say
that's actually the next thing. So please explain what happens at this antique shop.
I was just going to say that this was the only thing I did not like of the movie. Because Borat goes into this antique store, and the guy has like Confederate flags everywhere, and he's racist and white and whatever. But Borat just starts destroying shit, like He's just like fucking falling over everything, breaking a bunch of things. And I didn't find that funny at all. Like, that's just fucked up. Other things are almost everything else in this movie is like harmless and funny. Like, yes, he's bothering people, but it's still harmless. And he just like actually just destroyed a bunch of shit. Like, I'm sure he paid for it. Like,
Yeah.
like the actor and like the production, like I'm sure they paid for everything. And I mean, they didn't blur the guy's face, so clearly the guy was okay with, using the footage. But I just thought it was fucked up, and I didn't find it funny, not one bit at all. That was the only part that I didn't like of the movie. Like, I actually have a problem with that. It's like those people that make prank videos where like they cut the cable of somebody's headphones and then they're like, "Oh, I got you some new headphones," or they take someone's like game console, destroy it, and be like, "Here's a brand new one." Like, I don't find that funny at all. Like, that's just shitty to do. Even though you're like replacing their stuff, that's just I don't think that's a funny way to go about it at all. So that's my only gripe with the movie. What do you think?
Okay. I don't care.
Oh my god.
So he gets kicked out.
Yes.
And then the scene that Christian hates ends. And then they're at a hotel, and he finds his producer having a what he calls a hand party over the magazine, the Baywatch magazine.
Yes.
And for some reason in this scene, they're both naked and they fight, and it's really graphic. It's the most graphic part of the movie.
It's damn near sexual. They get into so many sexual positions while they're fighting.
Yeah. They have a naked chase down the hotel hallway and into the elevator where they run into people. And then they sit in the elevator naked till they get to the bottom floor, where they then are still chasing each other. And then they run into like some sort of like huge business meeting with like 200 people, and they're fighting naked on the stage of this business meeting until they are kicked out. After the fight, his producer leaves him and he takes the bear.
Yeah.
And he leaves Borat to kind of fend for himself. So he's walking down the street until he's eventually picked up by a group of college students in an RV.
And that's where Borat finds out that Pamela Anderson has been with other people.
Other men, yeah. And this upsets him greatly. And he goes into like a downward spiral where it's just like him and his chicken, and he lets his chicken go free, and he falls asleep at like the doorstep of a church. Like, not like a small church either. It's like a mega church. And then, everything turns around for him. He wakes up in the morning and church service is starting. And
they welcome him. They're
welcome him.
very welcoming.
My favorite part about this scene is that the actor does not have to do anything to make this scene funny. The whole church scene is just funny based off of what was happening at the church. Like, he had to do nothing for that. He just had to go there and film.
Yeah.
And at this church, he receives Jesus, and he is friends with Jesus.
That's where he forgives Pamela and continues to go try to find her. Yeah.
So he ends up in LA. He takes a bus with a bunch of other people from the church to LA, and he's walking. What's the strip called? What's the strip that he finds his producer on called?
That's Hollywood Boulevard.
He's walking Hollywood Boulevard, and he finds his producer dressed as Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah.
And he forgives him. They have this whole scene where he forgives him. They're like sitting in a hotel, and the whole bear thing happens with the bear in the fridge. So you find out what happens to the bear.
and his producer, even though his producer was still upset with Borat, he was able to find some information about Pamela Anderson, and that's what leads to Borat going to a meet and greet, a Pamela Anderson meet and greet, because his producer found out, like, oh, she's going to be doing this thing over here.
So when he goes there, his plan is to marry Pamela Anderson with a traditional Kazakhstani wedding where they have to throw the wife in a sack.
Yeah.
So he goes to this meeting, this meet and greet. He gets to the front of the line, and he asks Pamela Anderson to marry him, and she's like, "Oh, no." And then he says, "Agreement not necessary," and fucking bags her.
He's basically trying to kidnap Pamela Anderson, and I wonder how much of this was real and how much of this was staged, because I feel like things would have gone a lot worse if it was like 100% real. I feel like her security would have gotten Borat off of her way faster, like, because so he puts the sack over Pamela, like almost completely covering her body, and she escapes. She gets out. He's chasing her through this store, chases her through the parking lot.
Yeah.
And I feel like if it was legit, he would have been not able to do all those things. So I feel like part of this, like, she knew what was going to happen. Like, the security knew, but that's just my thoughts.
I agree. He gets tackled, and then he ends up trying to. He's like, "Well, it's time to go back to New York." But before he goes back to New York, he has this realization that he found his true love along the way, and he ends up marrying the hooker he found and taking her back to Kazakhstan.
Yeah. And the movie kind of ends there.
Yeah, he reintroduces his new village with Americanism added to it. They're Christians now, so they tolerate the Jews, and
he gave his neighbor an iPod.
He gave his neighbor an iPod.
I think he called it a phone though, but it was very clearly an iPod.
It was an iPod. He said, "I got an iPod, so my neighbor had to get an iPod Nano."
Oh, okay.
But we know that's for girls. And then he laughs out at his neighbor. He gives his armless friend a hand that he received from the gay people he met in Washington, D.C. And then it shows him and his wife. And then, the movie just kind of ends.
I mean, Borat, I would say he succeeded in what his documentary was about, like learning American culture and bringing it back to Kazakhstan. He succeeded. He did it. I mean, he brought back some weird cultural things, but he did it. Like, everybody back in Kazakhstan, like, they're improving. You know, they don't really understand what is happening, but I think he totally succeeded. And it was a happy-ish ending. I mean, he didn't get Pamela Anderson, but he got someone.
He found real love along the way.
Yeah. And then the movie ends, and
he has 2 kids at the end. Did you see that?
I did see, like, the big wide shot where the whole, like, community was there, but I didn't really stop to, like, take a look around.
Two black children there that have the hair. That obviously not his real kids, but have Borat's hair.
Oh.
So I think it's implied that he has 2 children at the end of the movie.
Mm. Did you know there's a second Borat?
I did. I haven't seen it.
I also have not seen it. I'm so glad you picked this movie. I've never watched this. I've always wanted to, and it did not disappoint me. Not even a little bit. It surpassed every expectation I had. This movie, with the exception of that scene where he's just breaking shit in the store, If that scene was gone, this would be a 10 out of 10 for me. I love this movie. It was great.
It is a very fun movie.
Good choice.
I still keep my rating at 7 out of 10. I think this is a good movie.
This is a 10. This is perfect. This is pure comedy. This is great.
It is a very awesome representation of early 2000s comedy. Also, most of his other movies are also pretty good. Bruno is good, but not as good. But like The Dictator.
Oh yeah, that's more like Hollywood level though.
Yeah,
Borat was more
that's a good movie.
Was more like indie level, but Bruno, I think. I mean, I haven't completely watched it, but I think Bruno's a little overly sexual, and Borat has what?
I'm looking at what movies he's been in.
He's the voice of King Julian from Madagascar.
Yeah, that is on there. Some of these other movies I haven't heard of, but he's in Talladega Nights. He's the villain or the antagonist. He's actually in a lot of movies.
Have you seen the movie Bohemian Rhapsody?
No.
It's about Freddie Mercury, the lead singer of Queen.
No. The last movie I watched about a singer was Rocket Man.
Oh. Well, Bohemian Rhapsody is it's a biopic about Freddie Mercury who's played by Rami Malek. Have you seen iRobot? Or not iRobot? Robot Man or something?
No.
Let me hold on. Mr. Robot. Have you seen that?
No.
It's a TV show. I'm trying to find something that you might know Rami Malek from.
He's also in Disney's Alice Through the Looking Glass. He plays a character called Time.
But Rami Malek plays Freddie Mercury in Bohemian Rhapsody, and it was a good movie. But Sacha Baron Cohen was originally going to play Freddie Mercury, but the movie. So Freddie Mercury is dead. He died a long time ago. He died from AIDS because he was gay, and the movie Bohemian Rhapsody is a very respectful movie honoring the life of Freddie Mercury. And when Sacha Baron Cohen was first attached to the movie to play Freddie, he wanted to show the crazy moments of Freddie Mercury's life, because Freddie Mercury would have a lot of parties and do a lot of like gay shit and like a lot of drugs. And that's what Sacha Baron Cohen wanted to show. But like the writers and producers and everything, that's not the movie that they wanted to make. So they got rid of Sacha Baron Cohen and got Rami Malek, and the movie ended up.
That whole party direction, that's kind of the way. Did you watch Rocket Man?
No.
Okay, well, it's the same idea, but with Elton John.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of how that movie went.
Mm.
Yeah, during parts. But
Yeah.
I also thought that movie was well done and respectful. So.
But I think Sacha Baron Cohen looks a lot more like Freddie Mercury than Rami Malek. Rami Malek doesn't look a lot.
He does.
A lot like Freddie Mercury. Because Freddie Mercury, I mean, he's like I'd say average height person. He's not tall, but Freddie Mercury has a massive jaw. Like the lower part of his face is huge. And Rami Malek just doesn't physically look like him. Like Rami Malek is a lot shorter, a lot skinnier. His face is smaller. But Sacha Baron Cohen I think he would have made a way better, physically better Freddie Mercury.
Freddie Mercury is Indian Parsi. If you did not know
Yeah.
that.
Mm-hmm.
I just had to look it up.
But yeah, Sacha Baron Cohen is he's a good actor.
Dude, he does have a big jaw. Look at that thing. Good Lord. You could buy a tree in half with that jaw.
You know, Freddie Mercury never wanted to fix his teeth. He had the money to fix his teeth, but he never did because he thought that would change the way his voice sounded, and he thought it would change the way he sings. So that's why he left his giant buck teeth.
That's a big dude.
But I guess that's the end of this episode. Borat, great movie. I definitely recommend it.
I agree. Yeah. If you haven't seen it and like you're older than 16, you should probably watch it.
Yeah. Well, thanks for watching.
Say hello to my little friend.